The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, February 13th. Today is, Jenny Beth, you're going to love this. It's Galentine's Day.
That's cute. Happy Galentine's, Rachelle.
Happy Galentine's.
Oh, my goodness. It's Galentine's Day.
Jason, we've done Galentine's Day together, remember?
Yeah, I didn't even know what the fuck it was when we did it.
You got
I was
so
like, what
mad.
the fuck is this? This is fucking most dumbest shit ever.
Jason thought it was just bitches gallivanting.
Yeah, it should be bitches gallivanting. Yeah.
Is every day?
He was so mad. I was like, we just did Galentine's Day. He's like, what the fuck?
I totally got
every day
hosed.
Galentine's Day for Gal Gadot.
Oh boy. Oh man. It's also National Giving Hearts Day.
Oh, I give him. Elon Musk is the king of giving hearts to everybody.
Yeah,
isn't
he is. Yes. It's also National Cheddar Day. I think they're talking about money, but some of you guys might think they're talking about cheese, but I think they're talking about money.
It ain't easy being cheesy, Jason.
Oh man.
Green cheese is the only cheese that my lactose intolerant ass tolerates.
Speaking of cheesy, it's also National Tortellini Day.
I'll take that. Why wouldn't you say I'd like that one?
Pasta.
I mean, Jenny, just get over yourself sometimes.
Wow. Wow.
Happy Galentine's.
Yeah, happy Galentine's Day. Yeah, exactly. Jeez.
Or don't, Jenny.
Yeah.
Right, or don't. That's what it is, Dale. I'm gonna or don't.
And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, and as well on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are going to kick it off with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, young Zaddy with his young Zaddy wagon with his cap to the back so his hair don't look flat. That's right, it is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte. Yeah, I think you're on mute, Rico. I think you're on mute. No one's hearing you giving me credit for the bars.
Bars, Jason. Speaking of bars, passing the bars and all of that, going to the bar on Galentine's Day. I got some legal news for everybody, and I'm trying to go as quick as possible because it's a little dense, and I want Dale to comment on this one first. 2 months ago, Matt Zorn was the man that many believed would be the catalyst to make cannabis rescheduling a reality. The attorney and partner at Yetter Coleman LLP sued the DEA for hiding evidential emails of collusion between the agency and Project Sam's Kevin Sabet, and he won. It was the third time that he'd beaten the DEA, and it seemed like momentum was on his side. Zorn was the attorney involved in the release of a 250-page scientific review by the HHS that explained their rationale for getting cannabis rescheduled from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 drug intended for drugs with moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence. This week, Zorn confirmed with Cannabis Business Times that he is no longer involved with the cannabis rescheduling hearing. He and Aaron Gorman Kirk bowed out of the landmark Connecticut case everybody said would finally legalize cannabis in America, leaving just one legal participant, Ellen Brown, remaining to fight the good fight. Is rescheduling officially dead? While the majority of us would rather deschedule for obvious reasons, but moving to Schedule 3 would have sweeping positive impacts on U.S. cannabis policy and the United States cannabis marketplace. It would spark reform in the criminal justice arena and provide plant-touching operators the long-awaited tax reform necessary to maneuver like any other business in the states. It would also provide access to interstate commerce, and in the words of Brady Cobb, the move would mark the true start of our legalization moment. According to CBT's Tony Lang, John J. Mulroney, the DEA's chief administrative law judge tasked with overseeing a fair and transparent hearing to debate the merits of Department of Justice's proposal to reclassify cannabis to Schedule 3, granted a withdrawal request from 2 designated participants last week on February 7th. Aaron Gorman Kirk, who Connecticut hired in May 2024 as the state's Office of the Cannabis Ombudsman, and the DOC app, DBA My Florida Green, both represented by attorney Matthew Zorn, partner at Yetter Coleman LLP, dropped out of the hearing process amid a interlocutory appeal that has delayed the process indefinitely. Jason talked about that earlier this week. With our legislative sessions underway and the prospect of a long, drawn-out DEA rescheduling process, I felt our patients were better served by working with our esteemed legislators to improve the Connecticut medical cannabis program and help our patients get back to the health they enjoyed before the adult use marketplace began, Kirk told Cannabis Business Times. This office was created so we do not leave patients behind, and that's where I continue to focus my efforts. I remain engaged with the broader community of patient advocates working to destigmatize our medication and provide healthier alternatives to wellness. Previously, Kirk told Marijuana Moment on February 7th that she decided to withdraw from the hearing because behind-the-scenes shenanigans between the DEA and only certain parties caused us to lose faith in the process, and with our limited resources, it was no longer in the best interest of Connecticut patients to continue, end quote. In a January 16th LinkedIn post in response to the appeal, Kirk wrote, with the DEA apparently conspiring with anti-cannabis groups and the judge saying from the first motion that he did not appreciate that the DEA administrator's methodology as he received no documentary support for why only 25 of us were chosen out of thousands who applied to be designated parties in the DEA cannabis rescheduling matter. This is actually a positive development. There are some folks who only believe 280E matters, but as a patient advocate and lifelong supporter of veterans, I think of things from a different perspective. Lang says that while Kirk had limited resources from the state of Connecticut to support her as a designated participant, Zorn was providing OCO pro bono representation for the rescheduling hearing. Zorn, who confirmed with CBT that he is no longer involved with the cannabis rescheduling hearing, has a successful record against the DEA. Along with fellow attorneys Shane Pennington, Zorn filed and won a 2019 lawsuit against the agency that resulted in Dr. Sue Sicily and the Scottsdale Research Institute being allowed to grow their own cannabis for clinical research instead of relying on government-grown cannabis at the University of Mississippi. More recently, Zorn represented a former DEA agent in successfully challenging his termination by the agency over CBD oil use. The agent got his job back with back pay. Zorn is a beast. In addition to granting OCO and the DOC app's withdrawal, Mulroney granted a motion for relief on February 11th for another pro-scheduling participant, Ellen Brown, a Massachusetts Cannabis Advisory Board appointee. The relief provides Brown until March 14th to potentially consolidate with another designated participant, revise and refile her expert witness summary of testimony, and refile an updated exhibit list. The rescheduling process has faced delays due to interlocutory. You got to correct my pronunciation.
Interlocutory.
interlocutory appeal.
Interlocutory.
And there are concerns about the DEA's transparency and alleged collusion with anti-cannabis groups. Brown must now consolidate with another participant to continue in the hearing. Meanwhile, the rescheduling process as a whole remains uncertain as newly appointed DEA Administrator Terry Cole, known for his anti-cannabis stance all the way back to Nancy Reagan DARE days, will decide whether hearings will resume. But after all that hype was pumped into the possibility of rescheduling last year, less than a month into Donald Trump's second term.
Y'all want to see a dead body?
Oh, boy.
I'm going to go ahead and say that this shit is a wrap. I'd be very surprised if we see any movement on rescheduling, descheduling, or any type of Google Calendar requests on progressive marijuana legislation anytime in the near future. But those are my thoughts and my thoughts alone as Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street. And I want to hear what the rest of the team thinks. Is it dead? I want to start with Dale on this one. Where do we go from here, Dale?
Put a fork in it. It's dead. There was no momentum inside the government to do this. Biden and his group pushed to have it under rescheduling, and there wasn't support within his own administration. And I don't think Trump has a plan now, and certainly not one where he wants to gear this thing back up with all the uncertainties. So I'd say it's dead, and it's a good thing in my book, because social justice will be dead if you're gonna go into Schedule 3. We've discussed the downside of this. Yeah, you might get 280, things like that. You could get bankruptcy relief, but you have to then go through the process to get a Schedule 3 DEA manufacturing license, which is no small task. So the trap will just win. So yeah, put a fork in it. And it's interlocutory between the filing of a lawsuit and the finalization of a lawsuit. Orders in between are called interlocutory. So before they even got started here, there's a interlocutory orders were issued to shut it down. I don't think it's coming back.
Dale, I talked with some criminal justice advocates last night on the phone, and they were telling me that they think that Schedule 3 was propped up by the DOJ all to begin with, just as a smokescreen.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
I think that
nobody was in favor of. I mean, when you take a look at the reaction that Biden got, you didn't see a lot of people lining up and say, "Oh, we're in favor of Schedule 3."
You know what's funny, Dale, is even DPA, Drug Policy Alliance, was against Schedule 3, and they basically just bow at the knee of everything that Biden did.
Yeah. Well, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It should not. It's like alcohol. It should not be in the Controlled Substances Act, period. I mean, you can certainly have cannabis concentrates and things like that in medicine like you do now. Medicines have alcohol in them. Okay, but alcohol isn't a controlled substance. There's a lot of ways to do this without having it in that rat trap called the Controlled Substances Act, where it's just a mess. It doesn't belong there.
it was a fluffer from the jump.
As a fluffer. Not a fluffer nutter, huh?
He's gonna try to get you excited, keep you where you need to be, until they come through for the shim sham flim flam.
Oh man, they definitely know how to flim flam. That's for sure. They definitely know how to flim flam. What do you have to say about this, Stone?
More lip service from the feds? Are you kidding me? What? Come on. Nobody thought that was going to really go down. Like you said, nobody was jumping up for joy for it except for people.
All the MSOs were.
What?
All the MSOs were. They were jumping up for joy from it. If you look at all the stock bros on X, they're all like, "Oh, Schedule 3 is going to be so great."
MSO gang.
For some of those people.
Yeah. Rachelle, what do you got to say? I see.
Who didn't understand it, didn't understand what the fuck it meant. We're like, I just can't believe we're finally here and they can legalize it. Yeah, all right. No, they're not. No, they're not. But also on the advocacy side, shout out to this attorney because he is a fucking G.
Zorn is a beast. He's a beast.
Poo-poo on that lady who was like, we don't like it. They're not fair. The government's cheating. The DEA's cheating. Of course they're fucking cheating. If the Eagles would have sat down and stomped their fucking feet because the Chiefs cheat with the refs, then they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl this year. So just because you know the fight's not fair doesn't mean that you get to bow out and quit fighting it.
Hey, Jenny Beth, I really, really love that analogy because the Chiefs were the promise of rescheduling this year. They won every game by a touchdown or less. It's like, oh, it's gonna happen. Oh, it's gonna happen. They got Mahomes. They got that ass whooped.
And then when we really look at it, it didn't happen. And then Patrick Mahomes is maybe Kevin Sabat crying in a corner somewhere.
Oh man. Both Trump supporters, though.
Ankle, right?
Both Trump supporters. Just saying.
Oh God.
Every once in a while, you need a good ass whipping to bring you some humility.
I want to hear what Rachelle has to say about all of this.
You know, I've been fairly skeptical on this whole process the whole time. I hate to say it. And
I love it.
It just seems like the ship is going down like the Titanic. And you hate to see it, but I don't know if anyone's that surprised.
I think it's fantastic to see this. Schedule 3 was a terrible idea in the first place. I'm so excited that that's DOA.
Yeah, I don't disagree. We all want full legalization for sure. I mean, it would have been nice to have like the tax burden gone, but now there are people who just want to keep that around anyways. So who even knows if that would help?
Exactly. I mean, I just feel like now that Schedule 3 is pretty much dead, I almost want to do a cartwill.
What's next up, Jason?
Can you do that?
If it's dead, what's next up?
Descheduling, bro. Descheduling because big news today. RFK was just confirmed as the director of HHS this morning before we went live today. He is officially in time
for the bird flu pandemic.
He is officially the director of the HHS. So congratulations, Mr. Bobby Kennedy. We can't wait to see what you are going to do and work with you, buddy. And I am so excited about this.
Raw milk in every glass. Raw milk in every glass.
So excited about this. It's going to be so great. Maha for everybody, even the ones that don't want it.
Oh my God.
And on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back.
God save us.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
We are back, you guys.
We are back. We left something. Up next, it's the High at 9 News head honcho and acting deputy director of the CFPB. Rest in peace. To protect you and your family's financial needs, Jason Beck.
Oh man, you are so funny today, Rico. So funny today. Oh man, you guys. Well, let me tell you something. I have a story. This is for you, Rachelle. Okay. Are you ready for this? Well, here we go. Ready or not, here it comes. Because tribes could get early foothold in Minnesota marijuana market, you guys. That's right. Each open 5 off-reservation pot stores, they say. That's right. Tribal nations could get to open marijuana dispensaries in Minnesota before most state licensed businesses under long-awaited compacts, you guys. That's right. Minnesota's 11 tribal nations would be allowed to license up to 5 retail cannabis dispensaries outside their reservations under long-awaited compacts with the state, according to a draft of one such agreement obtained by the Minnesota Star Tribune. The compacts could give tribal businesses, some of which have been operating on reservations since Minnesota's law legalizing adult use marijuana took effect back in August of 2023, and an even greater advantage over state licensed marijuana businesses. In a quote, they say, "I can't comment on specifics of the compacts, but I think Minnesota will look different than a lot of states in terms of the role the tribal nations will play in our market." Interim Office of Cannabis Management Director Eric Tabuli told the State House Committee on Tuesday, you guys. Minnesota will not start issuing most cannabis business licenses until later this spring, when the state's Office of Cannabis Management, the OCM, is expected to hold license lotteries. It could take weeks or even months after those lotteries for the state licensed cannabis businesses to open. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these lotteries would get challenged by lawsuits, and so that could put another wrench in that whole system too. But nonetheless, nearly 200 social equity applicants who sought cannabis micro business licenses, which allow the holder to cultivate, process, and sell marijuana products through a now canceled pre-approval lottery, could open businesses sooner. Unlike some other license types, state law does not limit the number of micro business license issued. In a quote, they say, "As we near the execution of the first few compacts, we are also quickly approaching the anticipated adoption of rules, which would make it possible for OCM to begin issuing licenses to the 200 social equity applicants that qualified during the license pre-approval round, including 193 micro businesses that could be in position to open storefronts this spring as well," OCM spokesperson Josh Collins said in a statement on Wednesday. Collins said last week that the state's first tribal compact agreement is likely to be finalized in March, and the off-reservation dispensaries could help accelerate the rollout of Minnesota's marijuana market. The state's goal of opening its first retail stores by early 2025 appeared to be in jeopardy when the OCM abandoned an early license lottery for social equity applicants due to litigation. See, those litigation wrenches. 5 Minnesota tribes operate marijuana businesses: White Earth Nation, Red Lake Nation, the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, Lower Sioux Indian Community, and Prairie Island Indian Community. At least 2 other tribes are planning to enter the industry, including the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe and the Fondue Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa. Zach Wilson. What's that?
The Fondue tribe.
That's what it said. That's how it's.
Fondue Lac.
Okay. All right. Fondue. Okay.
Ojibwe.
Ojibwe.
Fond du Lac.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. Zach Wilson, CEO of the Wabagowan Mishisheki, the White Earth Band of Chippewas cannabis business, told the Star Tribune last week that the tribe hopes to be the first to open an adult use marijuana dispensary outside of reservations. The tribe brought the former J.L. Beers building in Moorhead in May, and it is undergoing renovations with plans to open as an adult use cannabis dispensary by mid-March. The Prairie Island Indian Community is also negotiating a state compact, and Prairie Island Indian Community Tribal Council President Grant Johnson said in a statement that, in quotes, "they look forward to finalizing terms so that the tribal cannabis operations can further support the state's legal cannabis market," end quote. Under the draft compact, each tribe could license multiple marijuana cultivation facilities with a cumulative total of 30,000 square feet of plants outside of reservations, as well as one business that processes raw cannabis into other products. And tribally licensed businesses would be able to negotiate future agreements with the state to collect and share tax revenue from cannabis sales, according to the draft, and they would be exempt from rules barring many state licensed cannabis businesses from controlling the whole supply chain, from cultivation to retail sales, known as vertical integration. Tribes would be required to own at least 51% of their licensed businesses outside of reservations, according to the draft, and opening the door to partnerships with other tribes, state licensed businesses, or out-of-state operators. In contrast, applicants for the state social equity cannabis licenses are required to own 65% of their business. And state and tribally licensed businesses would be allowed to buy and sell cannabis products to one another, and all cannabis sold outside tribal lands would be required to be tested by a state licensed facility to ensure it meets state standards for potency and potential contaminants. The OCM would be authorized to seize products that pose a risk to public health and safety outside of tribal lands, and the draft compact lays out a process for resolving disputes between the state and tribe using a mediation and arbitration arbitration. And tribally licensed cannabis businesses would not be permitted within 1,000 feet of a school or within 500 feet of daycare centers, residential treatment facilities, or playgrounds or athletic fields in public parks, according to the draft. And they would also be exempted from local cannabis ordinances unless those rules are less restrictive than those in the compact. The draft compact was met with fierce criticism from Minnesota business owners and other stakeholders in the state's cannabis community. They argue the agreements will throttle the state's goal of helping those who were harmed by the cannabis prohibition enter the legal marijuana market. In a quote, they say, "The biggest threat to an equitable cannabis market isn't tribal compacts. It's the OCM's failure to stand up to the state-related market," said Lehigh Fatih, a lobbyist and partner with the cannabis consulting firm Blunt Strategies, who organized a group of plaintiffs that is suing the OCM. In an additional quote, they say, "While tribes are rightfully moving forward under the compacts, social equity applicants who are promised a fair shot are stuck waiting as OCM disregards its regulatory obligations and the state's own commitments." Those concerns were echoed by Nathan Young, CEO of the Minnesota hemp company, North Coast Wellness. He said the draft's lower ownership requirements and vertical integration provisions will give tribal businesses major advantages over state-licensed social equity cannabis businesses that may still be months away from opening. And in a quote, "Ultimately, I am supportive of any Minnesotan tribe entering the state cannabis market and competing for market share," said Young. But in an additional quote, he says, but the competition has to be on a level playing field. There can't be two sets of rules," he says. State Representative Zach Stevenson, who carried the adult use marijuana bill through the House in 2023, said the tribes can help the state meet early market demand. And in a quote, "A lot of tribal nations have been building significant growth facilities," Stevenson, DFL of Coons Rapids, said during the House committee hearing on Tuesday. And Minnesota licensed cultivators will not be able to start planting until later this year because Stevenson said legislators who crafted the 2023 law sought to create a market that prioritizes small and Minnesota-based businesses. And in a quote says, "If you end up with a model that gives a big advantage to tribal nations and micro businesses, that pretty much fits right in with what we're trying to do in the beginning," he said. Well, Minnesota, Rachelle, I can't wait to hear. This is your home state. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. These tribal nations about to open up 5 stores across the state, and it sounds like there's five tribes, so that's going to be 25 stores throughout the state, and they're going to get a jump start on it all. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It's exciting for the folks here, especially ones who have been waiting to shop. You know, we do have some on reservation dispensaries right now, but they're all pretty far away from the Twin Cities metro. So having one, I believe they're working on one in St. Cloud, which is about an hour and a half away from the Twin Cities. The one in Moorhead that they're talking about to open right on the North Dakota border. So I wouldn't be surprised if they see a lot of folks coming over from North Dakota to shop there. This is a really big opportunity for the tribes because being able to sell off reservation and partner with people who are non-tribal entities is really, really big. And I know that there are folks who are non-sovereign nation affiliated who are already starting to work with them and create their business plans and really giving them a leg up when the actual licenses come down. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of these places with an early mover advantage come to kind of dominate the market here. It'll be interesting.
I think these tribes are going to dominate the whole state.
Yeah, it's very possible. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see though, like if they end up opening any dispensaries within the Twin Cities metro themselves. We kind of feel like the closest one will be there's a casino like south about like a half hour, 40-minute drive. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with one right there. If we actually see them in Minneapolis, St. Paul proper, that'd be really interesting.
Is the Gaming Commission going to allow these tribes to open up a dispensary on their casino grounds?
That's a good question. I don't know. We should look into that.
That would be lit.
So. I feel like
that would be lit. I would go there for sure. I would go to the Indian casino for that. Go ahead, Rico. You were on mute, buddy.
I was gonna say, yeah, I know. I was a second ago. You can hear me now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic on this. Like, I love the fact that they're getting a head start on everybody else. But I get triggered when I hear that 51% language. Like this just bullshit social equity. Once again, they're just gonna get bamboozled like the rest of us did. I don't know. I hope it turns out better. And I hope they get in and get their money early. And I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. Yep. Happy for the news today, and I hope we don't have to report otherwise a year from now.
I mean, Chris Brady says in the comments, he says he hopes they scalp the competition.
Yeah, I'm concerned about an equal protection argument coming up here. When you're on tribal land, they're sovereign. They can do pretty much what they want. But when you leave tribal land and go out into the state where the Constitution applies, and you apply different standards to different groups, what are the metrics they're using? I mean, if you're a tribal person, and you get an advantage over someone who's not a tribal person outside the reservation, Constitution requires that there be equal protection of the law. So you're right. We're liable to see, more litigation over this. I've got a client with a project in Brainerd that is a social equity micro business. So we're going to watch this very carefully. We've done everything necessary, pre-approved and all that kind of stuff. Now we're waiting for the state to change the rules, and this may just be one of those benchmarks that they go, hang on, you can do what you want on the reservation. But if you give someone an advantage outside the reservation that a social equity person doesn't get, they got to do 65% as opposed to the reservation people who gets 51. And you're right, Rico, it's a nonsensical, and we've seen it just be abused where at 51%, but effectively you don't run shit.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to watch it roll out. I'm in favor of them green lighting as many as the market will support, period. None of these lottery nonsense, none of that. If you can run a business and sell weed and make money, God love you. Go for it.
What do you got to say, Stone?
I mean, not cautiously optimistic, nothing else I can say there.
Cautiously optimistic.
I would love to see one open up right in the big city. That would be awesome.
Jenny Beth, you have anything you want to throw in on this?
I mean, other than you colonizing the shit out of those tribal names and mispronouncing them, I think this is an awesome opportunity.
Easy.
Hopefully it's handled appropriately and works out for everybody.
Fair enough.
Like Key and Peele, Jake Wellen and A.A. Ron and Principal Oshag Nessie.
It's about that time. It's almost time for
I can't believe you guys are
college naming draft.
I can't believe you guys are getting on the disabled for how we read. That's messed up. You know what I'm saying? Just doing the best job I can. Doing the best job I can. You know what I'm saying?
Jason over here talking all that DEI, CRT talk, and I'm done with it. Trump is in office. You get no special points. Can't believe you guys are just getting on the disabled for how they read.
You know what you should have done, Jason? You
what, Jenny
said,
Beth?
Hey, I'm about to read a story with a bunch of fucking words I've never heard before. Maybe I should look up the pronunciation.
Hey, you know what? There's not enough time for all that, Jenny Beth. That's cute. I mean, maybe you should be on camera. But nonetheless, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But nonetheless,
right?
Exactly. But nonetheless, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schaefer. And Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, robbers, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license all at the same time. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them. He's honest. He's unconcerned with your opinion and with everyone else's opinion, and will show you how to defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right. He is none other than your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at the law office of Dale Schaefer, is none other than attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schaefer.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's raining like hell out here, and if you're in Southern California or it just got burned down, watch out for mud flows.
It's raining like hell out here too, Dale.
Oh man, we're getting half inch or more an hour up here.
Yeah, it's coming down. Anyway, God's crying.
My story today comes out of MJ Biz Daily, written by their daily staff. It was from yesterday. It has to do with New Jersey having problems with local control. Like, who could imagine that local control would be a problem anywhere? But apparently they're having problems in New Jersey. And there's been a new Senate bill introduced 4075, and it's going to try to correct the problems with local control. Now, according to this article, there's 2/3 of the state that doesn't allow recreational businesses. Okay? And just for a comparison, California, we're about that same level, where 2/3 of our state jurisdictions don't allow any cannabis. I mean, there's state law, you can grow some home plants, but businesses aren't allowed here either, about the same percentage. Last year, there was $1 billion worth of sales for med and rec, 25% in the previous year. But as far as numbers goes, there are 338 cannabis businesses in the state, 200 of them are retail, but they've already conditionally approved over 1,500 rec businesses. Okay, and so 300 and so are actually licensed. Now, local control was one of the trade-offs we had here in California, and most states since the 1870s have allowed local jurisdictions, cities and counties, to basically run their own health, safety, and welfare within their jurisdiction. That's what local control turns out to be. And in most cases, if you pass a state law that specifically controls the market, locals lose control. Now, here in California, we don't have such luxury here. It is just an absolute mess, and to try to get it overturned is going to be an additional mess. Now, according to this this new bill, for a med business, you're going to have a maximum of 30 days to approve the business. You can't just dick around here, sit on them for years. I've got a project right now. We have a hearing in 2 weeks, and it's been on the books for 4 years. We've been trying to get a project approved. We finally got a hearing. It's just nonsense. You can't survive like that, paying rent and trying to keep a business going. So getting these things expedited in their approval is a good thing. Okay. They're going to allow dual licenses to designate medical products for recreational. Okay, so you got a dual license and it comes in med, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't know what their other rules are as far as potency, things like that, because that seems to be another sticking point. Is it 5, 10 milligrams, 25, 100, 500? I don't know. Now, I don't know if this is going to pass, but what this points out is a problem the industry has been fighting probably as much as 280E and the lack of banking. That you pass a state law, or in California, it was an initiative, okay? But in order to get it passed and not have the cities and counties and cops looking for you, you had to agree to local control. And what we're finding out is even in a state like California that's decidedly blue, you get outside of these population areas and they're decidedly red. They have fought cannabis tooth and nail, and it looks like the same thing's happening in New Jersey. So this story is going to be repeated other places where local jurisdictions who, I don't know what term you want to apply to them, conservative, their mama told them marijuana is going to ruin human nature. I don't know what it is they believe. But to allow people to use it for non-medical reasons, it just seems to blow people's heads up. And when you have a local jurisdiction that has a city council or board of supervisors that decidedly do not want cannabis, okay, and you're just sort of stuck with that. Unless you can go back to the people and get them to override the legislature or get the legislature to do something about this. I'm not too hopeful about that. I think it's what we need to do in California. But I think we're going to have to do it through an initiative. It's nice to see that New Jersey can do this through their legislature, because in most places, you can't get the legislature to do shit like this. Even in California, we can't get the legislature to do anything about local control. Money's flowing to groups. This is part of what Trump's favoritism is as far as shrinking government. Because when you watch what actually happens, once groups start getting money, bureaucracies start getting money, the leaders of bureaucracies are able to get you funded again. It becomes less about people and the rights and more about just continuing to get a flow of cash. And nobody wants to interrupt these things. But we're going to follow Elliott's, trumpet call, weed for the people. We need to get rid of this bullshit. And my position is, give everybody a license that wants to try. If you can't run a business, let them go to bankruptcy like everybody else has to do. And this is my story for today. I'm going to throw it back at you. What do you guys think?
This is interesting. This is very interesting. And specifically, I have a lot of clients currently in New Jersey, and there's no cap on licenses. It's a flood in the market out there. It's kind of pandemonium. And if medical can bypass that, man, we'll see what happens.
I'm personally in favor of anything. I'm personally in favor of anything that reduces local control's power in regards to licensing, handing out licenses, and getting these industries off the ground, so to say.
I love it. New Jersey's just kind of quietly over there doing cool shit while shit's blowing up in New York.
Well, they haven't. I mean,
that was when they had the insurance. Like they got it past. This couple of big insurance companies are allowing medical cannabis there, and they have the deal with the police. And then now it's pretty fucking cool in New Jersey.
Yeah, right. The ones on the border, the Pennsylvania border, are eating right now, especially after the birds won this past weekend, man. Like they've been having a good time. Interesting things in New Jersey, man.
New Jersey.
Things going on.
You know what I mean? They do got some things going on. What do you have to say about this, Rachelle? No, not much. All right. I mean, it is the Garden State. You know what I'm saying? New Jersey.
Jason, would you call yourself the man in the garden?
When I'm in New Jersey, yeah, I would technically be the man in the garden. That would be 100% accurate. For sure. Jenny Beth, you have anything you want to throw in on this local control debacle going on?
Nope.
No? Okay. Yeah, Jenny's all flustered. Her internet's giving her problems today.
Yeah, get her some of that Skynet.
It's changed strains. Got a strain for that, I think.
Yep. Something's
Wi-Fi
going
OG.
on. That's why. Oh man, you guys are funny. We're rolling into our next commercial.
New Jersey dispensary tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. New Jersey, give us a call.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
And we are back, you guys. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know you'll appreciate it. We'll appreciate it. And you too will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.ohio9news.com.
Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right. Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry, secure up to $2 million today. And make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9.
Yeah, because
and we're back. And we are back. Yeah. Get it, Rico.
Straight out of the
one, right?
Yep.
Up next.
Don't be a tard.
It's the handsome white man straight out of the ATX. Here to break us off with the next story of the day. When they were doing Delta 8 Dabs rooftop, this man hit the high road because he had better things to do outside of the city. Come to the stage. Yeah.
Thank you, Rico. Thank you. Thank you. Apparently, there's a problem with moldy cannabis in Massachusetts. Turns out the folks in charge of making sure consumers get clean cannabis, regulators and testing labs, can't even agree on what clean actually is. And in some cases, they're not even trying. State regulators and the Cannabis Control Commission, or the CCC, say Massachusetts has some of the highest standards for cannabis testing in the country. A spokesperson proudly declared that they conduct both announced and unannounced inspections and that independent testing labs are closely monitored. They even passed an order requiring companies to submit samples to just one lab to cut down on what's called lab shopping, where producers hunt for a lab willing to pass their products. Sounds great? Well, some of the labs responsible for testing that cannabis aren't buying it. They say mold contamination is a bigger issue than the CCC has admitted. MCR Labs, a Framingham-based testing lab, even took its complaints to court last month, suing 8 competitors for allegedly fudging test results, not just to cover up mold, but also to inflate THC levels so products appear to be more potent than they actually are. That lawsuit states that because of fraudulent testing, a myriad of products on the shelves contain contaminants at unlawful levels, posing a significant public health risk. They have numbers to back it up. The lawsuit points out that when one cannabis producer switched from MCR Labs to a different lab, their failure rate for mold testing magically dropped from 9.4% to 0. That's quite the improvement, almost too good to be true, and according to MCR Labs, it is. Of course, most of the labs named in the lawsuit aren't talking, though one, Miss Biologics, acknowledged that lab shopping is a real problem, but what can you do? Lab shopping happens in industries all over the place, but in this case, it means that some people are inhaling mold spores instead of just cannabis, which is not ideal. And then there's the CCC's secret shopper program designed to test cannabis sold at dispensaries for contaminants. It sounds like a solid idea, except for the part where the commission has never actually used it. ATOZ Laboratories, the lab contracted for the program, says that it hasn't received a single sample, not one. Corey, a lot of Alabas, that's way wrong. The lab's director said he'd be thrilled to actually do the work that the state is supposedly paying them for, but for now he's just waiting. He's waiting by the phone. Meanwhile, people like Christopher Hadula, the founder of Pro-Verity Labs, has been sounding the alarm for years. He says his lab submitted close to 1,000 data points showing that mold and other contaminants are widespread. The CCC's response? Minimal. They didn't start taking action until last week when they issued an advisory about mold and select products. But don't worry, they assured the public no illnesses have been reported yet. Danny Carson, a cannabis worker advocate, says the problem goes way deeper. He's seen it firsthand working in facilities where mold was simply plucked off the buds before packing it. He's even had Pro-Verity test products on his own, revealing that one pre-rolled joint had 50 times the state's legal limit for mold. Carson also worked at True Leaves Whole Oak Factory, where a worker, Lorna McMurray, died in 2022 from an asthma attack. A lawsuit from her family claims that it was caused by exposure to cannabis, dust, and mold. True Leaf later paid a $350,000 fine and shut down operations in the state. All this would be bad enough on its own, but it turns out that the methods that the labs use to detect mold, PCR testing, might not even be reliable. Hadula says that PCR passes more products than traditional culture-based methods, and some labs switch to it precisely because of that high pass rate. He says businesses even chose labs based on which ones were most likely to give them the green light, not the most accurate results. Pro-Verity, which is the first licensed lab in Massachusetts, has been struggling to keep market share because, well, they're too honest. The lab says that they want more regulation, not less. They've been asking for monthly meetings with the CCC to standardize testing. So far, they've gotten one meeting back in January. And with the CCC issuing only an advisory, not a recall, it doesn't seem like they're in a hurry to fix anything. So where does that leave consumers? Probably where they've always been, smoking cannabis with some mystery ingredients. People have likely been smoking moldy cannabis since before Prohibition, but these regulations were supposed to make sure that doesn't happen. You'd think with all the oversight, at least one government agency would be interested in making sure the system works. Instead, it's starting to feel like Massachusetts regulators are more interested in issuing statements than actually regulating. But hey, what's maybe that's why they want public consumption is banned, so no one sees you coughing up the spores from your extra frosty booth. I'm Stone Slade for the High at 9 News.
And the lab shopping, you know. I mean, how come states don't just like assign people to labs? Just like, yeah, you know what? Here, you get just randomly here. You can only test with this lab. You can only test with this lab. You can only test with this lab.
You know how much bitching that would cost?
I mean, people are going to bitch about the government regardless, Jenny Beth.
Oh,
yeah, but who's in charge of the labs? See, that's the problem. Exactly. If every time a lab got caught doing this, they were suspended for 30 or 60 or 90 days, whatever. You can't make any money as long as you fudge this shit. It ain't hard to catch them. One of my problems always been, once you cure this and you test it, what's the guarantee it's not going to develop mold down the line? Because its water content and water availability leads to mold. If it's not properly cured, it may test clean when it leaves the cultivation facility. Then down the line, it's got mold in it. Yeah. There needs to be better control of this, including once it's in the dispensary, some mandate that you test a certain percentage of this stuff. And if it tests dirty, immediately it's stopped, it's embargoed, it's recalled, and you go right back to, how did this happen? Because I've worked with cultivators and also the transporters, okay? And in California, transporters pick it up, and then they then, the distributors, if you will, they then test it, okay? And once it gets past its testing, what happens to it after that? Because it can still get moldy after you put it in a package. So there's a lot of gaps in this, and we saw the problems in California. If somebody has a dirty test, it's like, oh, we call it an R&D test. We're not going to count that one. Let's go find somebody else to do it. The next thing you know, we got a dirty supply chain, and who's responsible for this? Well, state agencies are looking over this, and if there's no real downside, if you don't get your license suspended as soon as they find you letting dirty tests go by, what's the incentive for them not to do this?
Vermont Alternative in the chat, he says they should call it gaslight chromatography.
Shout out to all my photographers in the group.
I mean, he's not wrong about that.
Chromatography, which is other than mass spec, one of the ways they use to test potency.
Mass chromatography and mass spec. Those are what they do, but it's a point in time. And can mold, if it's below the appropriate levels and there's still enough water, it's going to mold on down the line if you don't store it properly. And there's still lots of problems. Why not just go to the trap? If you're going to risk, getting moldy weed, go to the trap. Why would you go to the regulated market and pay that money for it?
Fair enough. I mean, go ahead, Rico.
The one time I did buy weed in Massachusetts is some of the worst shit I've ever bought. I don't know if it was moldy or what, but I just went back to the trap shit that I had in my pocket. I try to support, so I don't have anything else other than that to say.
I mean, I do know some guys that produce fire out there in Massachusetts, and yeah, Mass Genetics. Shout out to my guy Pistol Pete out there. Mass Genetics, they got fire all day out there in Massachusetts. But there is a lot of big booth producers, as you know, out there. That is for
I bought
sure.
some outside in Amherst, and I was thoroughly upset. I want my money back.
Hey, no moldy weed in Colorado.
Well, that's because it's all dry before the mold can stick to it.
All the moisture was used for all the moisture was used for Lauren Boebert's vape juice.
Oh God, you guys! Oh boy! You have any thoughts on this, Rachelle? I mean, you guys are about to have lab shopping come to your state pretty soon.
Yeah, and boy, we just can't wait.
Oh man, Jenny Beth, anything else you want to throw in on this?
You got 5 on it?
Nope.
No. I'm surprised, Jenny Beth. I'm very surprised you don't have anything to say anymore on this.
I'm upset.
Every time we talk about lab shopping, I pretty much said my piece, and it's I'm not a big fan of redundancy.
You're not a big fan of redundancy?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But you voted for Trump.
Well, no, that's not
Because I'm
redundant.
not a big fan of redundancy.
She's been redundant this week and last week with not showing up on camera, but nonetheless, we're gonna roll into our next commercial. We're gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Yes, and we are back, and we are going to roll right into the great state of Minnesota with Miss Rachelle Gordon. She's the editor of Green State, and on top of that, she was just wifed up recently, and oh man, she is the Lego queen herself. That's right, it is none other than Miss Rachelle Gordon.
Thank you, Jason. Happy Thursday. Happy Galentine's Day.
Oh my God, it's so Galentine's Day. So Galentine's Day.
We are galling it up. So my story today comes from our senior content producer over at Green State, Kara Woodstock. This piece is actually blowing up on Google, Discovery, and News today. Great work, Kara. And it's all about Vegas and how a big change could be coming soon to their weed scene. So those dreaming of Vegas weed may conjure thoughts of sparking joints on the Strip while taking in the commotion and bright lights. That is far from reality. Nevada legalized personal use in 2001, and a separate Senate bill approved licensed sales in 2013, before voters then legalized adult use a few years later. Flash forward, and now the Silver State is home to lounges and events hoping to draw in weed tourists. However, cannabis businesses are barred from getting too close to the Las Vegas Strip, a destination few leave during their time in town. According to reports from the Las Vegas Sun, Assemblymember Max Carter II plans to file a bill that may suture the divide. Consuming, selling, or possessing cannabis technically remains illegal in casinos, which make up the entirety of the Vegas Strip. The tourism epicenter is widely fueled by gambling, a space regulated tightly by the federal government. Meanwhile, cannabis remains a Schedule I substance in the eyes of the federal government. Because of this discrepancy, consuming cannabis on casino property is highly illegal. Casinos cannot open up lounges, guests cannot smoke weed in their rooms, and no dispensaries can deliver to the property. But as regulated sales continue dropping, many believe that illicit operations are capturing tourists where licensed operations cannot go, the Strip. Carter hopes to start quashing that issue, beginning with an impending bill to allow deliveries to participate in casinos. Under the current law, dispensaries cannot currently deliver to locations that hold a gaming license. Rather than opening the floodgates to allow dispensaries, lounges, and the like, Carter envisions a kiosk pickup system hosted at casinos and hotels. Under the model he shared with The Sun, people who would order cannabis from a regulated dispensary could wait in an approved area at the casino for their delivery. Minimal cash would be in this area at any given time to deter robbery. Carter may file a bill in the upcoming weeks, telling Sun that its success requires cooperation from both sides, gambling and cannabis. If Carter follows through, the potential for regulated sales in this area is somewhat monumental. Over 100,000 people visit Las Vegas daily, and many visitors go straight to the iconic destination without leaving until they are ready to head home. A large portion of those visitors may not take part in the state's legal pot offerings, since the closest dispensaries sit over a mile from the Strip. With the bill promised by Assemblymember Carter does not mend the full chasm that exists between Nevada's cannabis industry and the long-withstanding power of the Strip, it is a start. Allowing cross-promotion between casinos and dispensaries by way of safe off-site cannabis access has the potential to usher more visitors into the regulated space over other less legal options. So what do you guys think about this? Kiosks selling you weed that you can then pick up from a delivery person. Coming soon to Caesars Bellagio. What do you guys think? Are we going to see it soon?
That would be amazing. I mean, I think if these Indian casinos are able to pull it off out there, then it's just going to put more pressure on Nevada to follow suit. Rachelle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good first steps for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Positive move.
Well, it's interesting they recognize the trap is kicking their ass and already doing this.
Yeah, right.
So maybe it's time they catch up with what the trap's already doing.
I mean, and at the same time too, like, oh, go ahead, Rico.
Just go out on your balcony.
I was gonna say Larry needs some competition.
I mean, not even competition, but like, I mean, just to be able to, like, you know, smoke in your room, smoke on the casino floor, have a designated cannabis consumption area in the casino or something, like one of the bars, a designated green area or something. I mean, it just makes sense.
You know, every time I'm out there, I mean, I smoke freely out on the strip and everything. I find myself very drunk and accidentally I'm lighting up.
Yeah, but see, I don't want to have to walk outside to go and smoke. I think that's just stupid.
Yeah, especially when you go inside, there's nothing but cigarette smoke.
Yeah, I want to be inside where everybody else is. I want to feel all that air conditioning. I love that oxygen blast that I breathe in every breath. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to go outside for that. It's a big inconvenience.
What if you're gonna go up to the casino, you're at a game of blackjack and everything, you just pull a bong out. You're just taking bong rips.
Well, no, it would be cool as if the cocktail waitresses, you know what I'm saying, if you could order one from them and they brought you a fresh one with ice and everything, like that would be that would be the business right there.
Ooh, I think you're onto something.
Trust me, bro. I know. I specialize in the service industry. You know what I mean? I know what service is.
Yeah, you're a lifelong server.
I'm not a servicer, but I know what good service is.
Yeah, you're not
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, gotta serve it up, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. What do you think about this, Jenny? Are you with us still?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. What do you think about this? I mean, we've been in a lot of times, have a lot of fun adventures in Vegas together.
No, 100%. I almost said something really shitty and you've been pissed off at me about it. I'm gonna hold that one back.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, please, let it out. You got hate in your heart, let it out.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know, Jason. I'm sick of hearing you cry about your inconveniences. I do think that it would be awesome to have the opportunity to open up commerce in there. So we'll see. We'll see. We shall fucking see.
See, I appreciate that Jenny is sick of hearing about my inconveniences. I really appreciate that, Jenny Beth, because hopefully we can make it so that we can smoke in Vegas and casinos, so you don't have to hear about my inconvenience of that anymore.
Wonderful.
That'd be a great thing. Be a great thing for America overall. Vegas would really be a tourism city then.
Accommodation nation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a great story.
Settle into all of Jason's inconveniences, he'll have nothing else to complain about.
If I had nothing to complain about, Dale, that'd be a beautiful thing. I would sign up for that. I don't enjoy complaining. I just do it out of necessity to tell people how to be better. It's almost like it's almost like a training manual for life for these people.
God. Oh, wow. All right, we roll into the next story.
That's a great title for the book, Dale. Mm-hmm.
The inconvenient booth.
The inconvenient truth with Jason Beck. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we got the melanated and highly opinionated. She might not be here in picture, but we sure do hear her. The founder of Kind Cannabis Consulting and just to serve 501c3, here to close us out, Jenny Beth Dills.
Okay, well, this is a positive story out of Ohio, ironically. At a suburban Cincinnati farmers market, Ohioans are picking up more than just fresh produce. They're buying marijuana plants to grow at home. At the Horsepower Farm in Middletown, more than 30 vendors set up shop last weekend, offering everything from LED grow lights to cannabis seeds, young plants, and clones. Since home cultivation became legal in Ohio in December 2023, many are turning to growing their own supply as a cost-effective alternative to dispensaries. One attendee, 58-year-old Izelle Esters from Columbus, said he bought plants to grow for the first time, explaining it's much cheaper and you have control over your own thing. Prices range from $30 to $70 per plant, and expert growers were on hand to offer guidance. Under Ohio law, adults over 21 can grow up to 6 cannabis plants per person, and up to 12 per household with multiple adults. Events like this, organized by OhioCannabis.com, aim to support home growers. A group of its founder, John Lutz, says has been left behind in the legalization process. The event's host, Rick Opie Willis, donated proceeds to charity, with funds likely going to Matt Haverkamp Foundation, which provides police dogs to local agencies. Now, that's ironic. And for those who missed this market, another cannabis festival is set for May 17th in Frazeysburg, featuring live performances and more opportunities for Ohioans to cultivate their own cannabis. From seed to harvest, Ohio's homegrowing movement is in full bloom. So, I mean, I think that it's cool that they're providing support to home growers. I think the Ohio market is kind of jacked up in a lot of ways that they set their regulatory framework forward, obviously. So giving home grow an option, or patients an option to grow their own medicine, or, you know, recreational users an option to grow their own pot, is a huge deal. And I think that's really cool that they're able to set this up. I am curious on how long these things are going to go on before the regulators or powers that be, probably backed by pressure from the regulated operators, try to stop this and shut it down. I also think it's really weird that they're going to donate to a group that provides police dogs. Throwing it back to you guys.
I got. I think it's a good story overall. I'm going to start off by saying that I got a couple of questions though. Number one, are they allowed to sell eighths there instead of 10?
I mean, this sounds like a trap market. This sounds like they having a trap sesh to me.
I like it.
They're not actually selling finished goods. They're not actually selling grown flower. They're selling immature plants and clones and seeds, and pretty much
and grow equipment.
Go there, start at one end. Like if you're going to the farmer's market to go pick up dinner and figure out, you go from booth to booth until you have your sides and your main dish. You would be going through this until you have enough to fucking bust that 4-lighter out.
Okay, and the second question I had about the police dogs. Like, the charity benefiting police dogs, is this like decommissioned police dogs? Like,
no, it provides dogs to police departments.
So the proceeds from this go into dogs that are gonna sniff.
That's how they're getting away with doing it, Rico. That's how that's how they're getting away with doing it. They're trying to take a bite out of crime.
Acknowledge that a nonprofit.
You're paying for the same dogs that are gonna shut your asses down next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also think it's absolute bullshit that police dogs are being purchased from a nonprofit. Like, that is a for-profit situation. You're not donating these police dogs for some charitable. I don't know. I feel like there's some tax evasion going on in that industry.
I mean, as long as they're Shibu Inus, I think they're going to be okay, right? See what I did there?
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Just so you know, I was talking with my buddy from Japan, and they're actually just called Shibus. The Ino part, the last part, it actually just means dog in Japanese.
Yeah, my buddy's Australian, and I used to have an Australian cattle dog, and I took it over to his crib one time, and he was like, "Oh, you got a dog?"
Mm-hmm. A Doge.
He might have just meant you didn't know you had a dog.
Mm-hmm.
He died.
Yeah, I saw Rachel Maddow.
Wow, way to go, Rico.
I saw Rachel Maddow drop the lamest joke the other day. She said, you know what? We should just start calling Doge. I don't understand why we're calling it Doge. We should just call it Doggy.
Jason, you just watch MSNBC all day. Just get mad, clenching your fist.
No. I love to watch the melting. I love to watch the melting. Fill my cup up with some liberal tears. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just fill it up with some raw milk now.
Oh boy.
Well, I hope this works, because I would encourage people who sell plants generally to be able to be allowed to sell plants. This is like selling somebody grape juice and a bucket and say, now go home and make yourself some wine. You can't get high off the plant. So the argument, kids are going to get a hold of it. No, this should be available. And if you have a shop that sells lights and nutrients and things like that, again, you should be allowed to sell those plants there. The numbers they're allowing, and just, you're not selling finished product. You're selling a plant. Someone's got to go and put at least a month or two into flowering the damn thing out, if not more. And I think that would increase the market. And the people who run business say, it's taken away from my profit. Okay, well, go to the legislature, tell them to green light every license type.
You know,
Funny,
just scrap
small to grow his own because you're not making as much money.
I
don't like
just scrap the market as it is right now and just start teaching people to grow.
Yeah.
And we don't have no lab shopping, no none of this shit. Don't have people getting fucked over.
I saw
we are consumer nation. So that ain't gonna happen.
I saw in the article because they had a lot of like people that have never grown cannabis plant in their life saying, oh yeah, no, this is a great thing. It's going to be cheaper than going to buy weed. You know what I'm saying? I'm open to try it and see what happens. And I'm just thinking in my head like, oh my God, you guys have no clue what you guys are getting yourselves into. You guys, this thing is not cheaper, especially when you're first learning to come out with something good. These people are going to end up spending so much money, and they're going to probably get so mad at themselves after this. And so I wonder how long this thing will last overall, because sometimes it's just cheaper to just buy finished weed. It just is.
I hope it lasts. I hope it lasts long, and I wish them the best with this. I wish we would have more activities like this, but we have seen them in every state come and go.
Yeah. I mean, they're usually trap sessions, but this sounds more legitimate in Ohio. I wonder if Nick Lachey will make an appearance, Rico.
Only if he performs.
Well, there's a performance at the next one, so maybe it's Nick Lachey.
They should totally have Nick Lachey perform at the next one.
Does he still have the sun? Does he still have the sun tattoo on his bicep?
I don't know.
I doubt he had it removed.
Shout out to Tribals. What was the other one, like LFO? What were the other groups? LFO, remember that? I like girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah.
You have any final thoughts on this, Rachelle?
Let's keep it moving.
All right.
Yes, let's do it.
We're gonna keep it moving. Fair enough.
It is about that time, and thank you all for joining us for another episode of High 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans getting their comments posted live on the big screen. We have any today, Jason?
No super chats today. Yeah, it's no Wagyu today.
Sad.
No Wagyu today.
Sad.
All right.
Look, more inconveniences for Jason Beck.
There's always tomorrow.
Yes.
Always tomorrow.
But big love to all the live audience and online supporters catching us across all media platforms, tuning in each day to the Headlines of Chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, keeping the lights on, AV struggles to a minimum, aim high.
Yes.
Providing us with the hempiest of hemp procurement.
The testiest of tested. We did get a super chat. We did get a super chat just now, Rico, from Brian Dombrowski. Says Miggy smokes mids.
You called him Mitty?
No, Miggy's in the chat. Miggy.
I know. I was like, does he call him Mitty?
No. Says Miggy, bro. Says Miggy.
Wow.
As always, Cannabis Steve L, the reason why we show up to read these headlines every day. Thank you as well. It has been Thursday, February, 13th, 2025. The show's over. You all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News, cannabis industry's #1 daily news show. And in light of things going on, popping on the reservation out in Minnesota, we're going to give it to Rachelle Gordon. What you got for us?
Be kind, guys. Be nice. Happy Galentines. Enjoy your Valentines and smoke sun-grown, no matter what Jason Beck says.
Stop it. Yes. Stop it. Throw it in your fireplace.
Yeah.
No one listens to him anyway.
Yes. What goes
Go
on
ahead
in
and
the
run
dark,
it.
come to light.
Much love, y'all. Have a
y'all.
great day today. Happy Thursday.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.
There we go. And we're out.